The arts have been hailed as great for centuries. When people groups analyze to determine whether they can be called a civilization, one of the elements to deciding their fate is found in their art, their literature, music, drama, and dance, or the culture's arts. The fine arts have always been important to society, so why do they suffer the most when a school undergoes financial turmoil? The arts give students opportunities, rewards, and benefits that other forms of academics and athletics cannot provide, and should therefore be recognized as an essential department within a school's curriculum. So my argument can be summed up in 3 points: education in the arts, the benefits of the arts, and life lessons learned from the arts. So my first point for education, the arts have played a role in education for centuries. Until the 1950s, the arts were important to education, but then in the nation's race to the moon with the Soviet Union, more energy was focused on mathematics and science. And since then, the arts have struggled to keep their place in educational institutions in order to create more time to devote to what's known as like the real subjects. And this is a result of comparing our test scores to those of other countries such as Germany and Japan. And the problem with that is the US tests everybody, but Germany and Japan only tests their elite students. So they get, they knock the test out of the water, and we're a major outlier in the comparison, because since we test everybody, people who struggle with math and science bring our average down. So basing the need for more math and science classes on our country's scores is not a valid foundation for this argument. Without subjects such as music education, something vital to the human spirit and psychological well-being would be missing. An entire chapter is devoted to the importance of teaching music in schools in Charles Hoffer's book, Teaching Music in Secondary Schools. A list of consequences involving the lack of music education in schools is given, which some of them are: the individual's repertoire and knowledge of music would be limited to what they hear only on the radio and TV. The individual's performance skills would remain largely underdeveloped. The individual's listening skills would be underdeveloped. Most students would be unable to use music notation. The individual would have no guidance in creating or improvising. The individual would be unable to make informed judgments about what they listen to, and because of limited experience with music, they probably would not learn to enjoy music that is artistic in nature. Which brings me to my second point: the majority of students learn about music in school or not at all. And once the brain is not trained or exposed to the arts for so long, the ability to appreciate them decreases. This fact provides a perfect segue into my next point, that the benefits of the arts, and I'll start with academics in like neuroscience and cognitive development. The student's participation in the arts correlates with his cognitive development and learning. In 1983, Howard Gardner proposed a theory of multiple intelligences, which basically states that the conception of intelligence should be based on more than just mere IQ levels. IQ levels limits intelligence, and so he proposed that there are 8 different levels of intelligence, which some of them are music, or spatial intelligence, or interpersonal intelligence. And every individual possesses so many of these intelligences, but they only excel. We all possess these 8 intelligences, but we only excel in so many. And basing intelligence on several, just 4 of these intelligences will, it doesn't make that one person smarter just because they excel in these 4 intelligences that this other person does not. So that was his theory. And then another neuroscientist named James Soll says in his essay, Arts, Neuroscience, and Learning, that one thing we have found is that the brain physically changes when we learn. And the change is most extensive and powerful when emotion is part of learning. The chemicals of emotion, such as adrenaline, serotonin, and dopamine, act by modifications of synapses. And modification of synapses is the very root of learning. And changing connections in the brain is learning, but in some cases such change does not occur, at all unless the emotion chemicals and structures of the brain are engaged. And artists create things that engage others emotionally, and of course, engaging itself, creating itself is engaging. The artist also feels emotion, and then art changes the brain of both the creator and the consumer. Another thing that changed synapses in the brain is practice. We learn the things that we repeat the most, but we repeat the things that we enjoy the most. So we enjoy the arts and thus repeat them over and over, and this intensity of effort and focus is healthy for learning, and it also changes the brain. Another benefit from the arts is economic activity that it stimulates. And while the arts do come at a price, every effort must be made to ensure that the arts are part of a child's education. Claire Chalk argues in her essay in The Importance of Fine Arts in Economic Hard Times that the arts must be taught despite financial difficulty. She states that the fine arts in general play an important role during tough times by relieving the anxiety that people feel, at least for a little while. Also, Governor Mike Huckabee stated in an interview with Richard Deasy that the arts leaving the arts out of education is beyond neglect and is virtual abuse of the child. There's compelling evidence that shows student involvement in the arts can make a significant difference in improving educational outcomes for all kids in terms of their academic achievement, their engagement in learning, and their social and civic development. This leads to my final point, are the life lessons learned from the arts. The fine arts give students life skills and positive influences in the child's life and help shape the student into a well-rounded individual. The arts pull the children away from the television and computer and makes them use their mind to create. The arts also teach students how to become their own critic and how to be responsible and respectful of others, and how to respond to critique and analyze and improve their own work on their own. Skills like these are desired in a business and are beneficial to learn at a very early age. So to conclude my argument, in Mr. Holland's opus, Richard Dreyfuss states, "You can cut the arts as much as you want. Sooner or later, these kids aren't going to have anything to read or write about." And though the film is entirely fictional, this statement isn't very far from the truth. Without art forms such as music, the quality of life would be lesser and the nation would be poor, not only economically, but in the quality of life it offers. Yes, the fine arts do come at a cost, but the cost of keeping an arts program is good for the community, and while academics and athletics teach children valuable lessons, the arts provide opportunities and life lessons that the others cannot, which is why the fine arts are so important to a student's education. And if the arts are cut from the schools, we'll be doing more harm than good to future generations.